Hi, Renee Flamont here. I've always told you that if I ever find any nugget of wisdom that helps me turn a corner, gain perspective, get a handle on the situation of the whole narcissistic relationship, that I would share it with you. Well, last night, this hit me between the eyes as something that shifted my entire perspective and allowed me to gain some clarity and to, God, I'm just looking at everything differently. A friend and I share quotes. This is what we do. We go back and forth. We sit out on my porch and we share quotes for hours. This one came across and hit me like a ton of bricks, and I sat there with my jaw open. Look at Minnie. It's her 10th birthday today. That's why she has on her party collar. The quote comes from a site called Woke Spiritual, and it's short. I'll show it in case you want to screenshot it. Okay, it's showing backwards to me. It's crazy. I used to cry hard so over my ex, cry with my whole body and soul over small things, his responses to me, his lack of responses to me. When I felt confused about him, I'd sob. When I missed him, I'd weep. My body was physically rejecting him, and I thought I was in love. Do you realize what that quote is saying? I'm fascinated. So you have to dissect it, yes? So there's 3 phases of crying, essentially, this quote tells you. And we're always crying with the narcissist. While we're with them, while it's ending, and once it's over. It's all crying all the time. It's crazy. I used to cry hard so over my ex, cry with my whole body and soul over small things, his responses to me, his lack of responses to me. That's when we're together with them, the quote is saying. We're crying. When I felt confused about him, I'd sob. Starting to realize, starting to end. When I missed him, they left him, I'd weep. So all 3 phases of being with that narcissist, in my opinion, you're crying the whole time. And I'm not saying, and then my body was physically rejecting him and I thought I was in love. That made me go, So the whole time you're with the narcissist, look back on the whole relationship. I'm not saying you didn't have times of laughter and fun. Of course you did. We all did. Because there's a love bombing phase, at least one love bombing phase in the beginning. So of course you had that. But if you look at the relationship and think it through, I know in mine, this is absolutely spot on. Okay, I went through it. And basically, the 3 phases of crying are real. During the relationship, while you're thinking about ending the relationship, and once it's over. So you're crying throughout all of those phases, and you're thinking, oh my God, I love him so much. I'm crying, I'm loving him so much. My body was physically rejecting him. That is a very powerful sentence. And if you think of your relationship that way, yes, it means we got it wrong for a long time. And I thought I was in love. And that's why I was hurting so bad. And that's why I was crying so hard. And that's why I was going through it. But you know, other than your regular amount of hard work that is any relationship, it shouldn't hurt that much. Nothing should bring you that much crying through all 3 stages of the relationship, ending the relationship being over. Nothing should bring you crying in all 3 stages and then have your body think that you're actually in love with that person. Maybe it's true. Maybe our bodies are rejecting that person with all that crying. It's trying to tell you something. I didn't listen. I kept trucking along thinking, I'm crying so hard because I love this person. Maybe that is our body's physical way of rejecting someone. Like an exorcism of that person. And our bodies are trying to say, wake up! This isn't making you feel good. This relationship's not making you feel good, not while you're in it, not while you're leaving it, and not once you've left it. Hit me like a ton of bricks. So I'd like you to look at your relationship right now, wherever you are in it, whether you're in it, thinking of ending it, trying to end it, or just have ended it. And do you have a lot of crying? I know you do. Unless you're a real tough cookie and you don't. But if you're a real tough cookie, you probably wouldn't get wrapped up in a narcissist. Although I'm a tough cookie and I'm a softie though. But I got wrapped up in one. And there was a lot of crying. And now I'm realizing that if I spent the whole time crying, that means every single person that gets involved with this person, we know they have a pattern of behavior. They're not going to suddenly be real Prince Charming to the next person. The next person's going to experience the same thing you did, same thing I did. They have a cycle of behavior. So the next person will be crying over small things, his responses to me, his lack of responses. The next person will be crying when they felt confused about them, they would sob. The next person will be crying when they missed him, they'd weep. The next person will realize, hopefully, that their body is trying to physically reject the person and eject the person from your life. What that occurred to me and my friend go, she said, so every single person that the narcissist is with, ever, they are always crying all the time and alone probably all the time. Because how many times do we confide in this horrific relationship to people? We've talked about that a lot. Very many times, many of us keep it to ourselves. We're embarrassed at how the relationship is going. We don't want to talk about it to people. So every single person that has been with the narcissist has cried during those 3 stages of the relationship. What a track record for the narcissist. What a piece of work that narcissist is. And what a history of pain and anguish they've laid out for themselves. So when they look back on their life, not that they see it, but you know in your head right now, regardless of what stage you're in, you know right now that there were people before you that cried during the relationship with your narcissist, while ending the relationship with your narcissist, and once they ended the relationship with your narcissist because they mistakenly felt they were hurt and missing them and in love, when in all reality, our body was rejecting them. I love that perspective so much, it made me flip. And I started to think every time I cried, I started to think, I'm going to listen to my body from now on. I'm going to listen to my mind, body, and soul. I'm going to go forward. And if somebody makes you cry that hard from the gate, that is our body rejecting. That is some divine intervention and letting us know that that person is not meant to be with us. Not meant to be with us. It should not hurt that much. Love, I'm sorry, should not hurt that much. It doesn't need to be a fairy tale. It doesn't need to be love at first sight. It doesn't need to be smooth sailing. People can have compromises and challenges and things like that. But you certainly shouldn't cry through every single minute of every single stage with your narcissist. And if you are, it's time to look at that. Is that your body rejecting that person from your life? It's our bodies rejecting the person from our life. They're rejecting it. They're trying to help guide you into the knowledge that is, this person is not meant for you. This isn't your person. Because there's no way on God's green earth that anyone is meant to cry through every phase of every relationship. It's just not the way it's supposed to be. And we don't even mean Cinderella here. But crying from the gate, through it, at the end of it, through every minute, no. So I encourage you to heed that warning. And again, decipher, look at your own relationship and say, I am crying all the time. I felt like I was crying all the time. And when I say all the time, no, it doesn't mean 24/7. But if you're getting into some kind of blowout every 12 hours that leaves you crying, that's all the time. Because nobody should do that. We all know happy couples, and they're not fighting, screaming, hollering, and crying at each other every 12 hours. And the toil and the work you're going through trying to figure out if it should last or not. And the work and the toil that you're going through when you do decide to leave, and now you're at the end of it. There's more pain to come. There's always more pain to come with these narcissists. Always. It's always pain. My body was physically rejecting him, and I thought it was love. When that sentence was read aloud, I went, I wish I heard that quote 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 8 years ago. Think back in your life of other relationships if you've not been in one for a continuous time. If you've had other relationships, narcissists or not. If it's that much pain and anguish, my God, I think we should listen to our bodies. I found it fascinating, and I think you should too. And if you find yourself starting to feel, you know what? I don't want to shed one more tear over this person. That's what it made me feel. I'm not shedding one more tear. My body's rejected him already. I'm good. Which I haven't cried in a long time over the narcissist experience that I most recently had. But if you are still in the throes of where you're still crying, let it turn it right off. Stop. I'm heartbroken. Well, listen to that heart. That heart is trying to reject that person from your life because they're not good for you. They're not good for us. I'm going to listen to my body from now on going forth, and I think you should too. I think that quote is brilliant. I love it. I think I said woke spiritual, just in case I didn't. That's where it was found. It doesn't have a person that wrote it, but it says woke spiritual. And I always want to share everything that helps me turn a corner. Chin up. And if your body is constantly crying over this person, that is a sign, isn't it? I never took that way. The actual crying and anguish we're feeling is the sign from ourselves that we're rejecting that person. It's not a sign telling us how much we love them. I'm so upset. I love him so much. No, you're so upset because your body is saying that person's not meant for you. Move on. They're rejecting that person from your life. Think about it.